Greetings, Earthlings. Blessings, soul family. I'm Shalom Peter. This is You Are God, and so is everything else. I'm here to be a mirror so that you can see more clear who you are and why you're here. I've just awoken from a deep slumber after some yoga and meditation, and funny enough, I woke up. Well, it's actually not funny, but I've been up for hours. And I did like pretty weak ass morning practice at first, and I was like, all right, I just need to get going on this task, this thing, so I can get this and check this off my list and get going to the next thing. And I just wasn't really, I was so exhausted. I just didn't really sleep well, and I've got a little buddy barking in the back. But my point is that I was trying to broadcast this about an hour and 20 minutes ago, and it just wasn't working. My phone has perfect signal right where I'm at, and my frequency was not in alignment to transmit a frequency that was appropriate for a podcast. And so it's funny how the universe has a unique series of checks and balances to create order. And so I did my squats and push-ups and core and dance and yoga and meditation and breath work, and feeling a lot better now. Still a little tired, however, that's besides the point. So I'd like to take a moment just to invite you to become aware of your body and your breath. And so wherever you are, if you're moving around, you're driving, you're sitting, you're laying, I invite you to just pause and to take a moment to check in with yourself and ask, how am I doing right now? Maybe like me, maybe a little tired. There's definitely been a heaviness in the field. If you're listening to this, you are of a higher consciousness. You are guided to this because maybe you love me, but you're really just tuned into a frequency of on a path of enlightenment, of accessing inner peace and joy and blissful euphoria and vibrating at love and above. And sometimes we encounter a lot of heavy and density along that path of embracing our shadows and going through the hero's heroine's journey to remember who we are and why we're here. I invite you to check in with your upper lip and your nostrils and feel the air. Relax the jaw, soften the shoulders, heart lifts, sit into the tail. Everything's an invitation. Hmm. Invite you to gently wiggle the face and feel the face relax. Hmm. Maybe looking over one shoulder and then the other and just affirming, I'm safe. I'm safe in my body. I'm safe in this moment. I'm safe to relax and receive. I'm safe to be present and to give. I fill my cup first and share from my own overflow. I fill my own cup first and share from a place of overflow. Aho, amen, ashe, namaste. And may we have a beautiful, blessed remainder of our day. This show, this offering has been an idea. It's been something that's been intended. It's been evolving. And now I'm just allowing it to just be what it is and to take the fucking pressure off of it and just allow it to flow and be expressed in the most authentic way. And right now, I realize that what I know to be truth is that our mess can become our message. Our trials can become our triumphs, and the tests can become our testimony. And so it's pretty much what you've been going through, what's been the most challenging thing in your life, can be a part of the medicine that you're here to share with others in this lifetime. I just had like one of the largest fly looking insects just crush into me. Man, he's crazy looking. Squirrel. So focus, distractions, addiction, procrastination. These are all things that swirl in a relatively similar field of presence or lack thereof. When one is attempting to escape reality, they can grab for something to alter their state of consciousness, to bring them out of their bodies, to disassociate, and to step away from uncomfortable emotions. What this could look like is, someone says or does something that makes you feel really uncomfortable. And instead of expressing and engaging with it, you grab your phone and you go into Instagram and you start scrolling. This could look like your partner says something that really triggers you, and instead of expressing yourself, you freeze, and then you walk to the fridge and you grab a beer and you drink half of it, and then you walk over to the bong and you take a hit immediately. Escaping emotions. There's an infinite plethora of ways that we can escape. It's not just mind-altering substances and electronics, food, porn, procrastination, distracting ourselves from the things that's really important. As much as the flow state can be super, super profoundly powerful, and I totally empower everybody to find that way of accessing it. When we're in our feminine flow all the time, we can miss out of the masculine discipline of doing what needs to be done. Just like me coming into a relative frequency to be able to transmit this frequency to you is I needed to do more push-ups and squats, more stretches, more breaths, more like dance, more move my body until I was like, okay, I'm in my body now. And before I was more in my head. And so coming into the body, if we feel it, we can heal it. And so it's just like if we spill some milk on the yoga mat, well, if we wipe it up right away, we pour a little bit of water and we wipe it up again, maybe shake it out and let it hang over, no big deal. If you leave that milk on your yoga mat, you don't do anything, maybe you're just like, you put a yoga mat towel on top of it, that shit's gonna stink. It's gonna get rotten, mildew, like the milk's gonna turn to cheesy curdles, and it's just like, ew. And so that's what happens with our emotions. Emotions are energy in motion. And when we stop them and they stagnate and we suppress them or we don't express them, they get stuck and they coagulate. And so for something for me right now, I've been having insane neck pain today, like holy fucking shit. And I've been telling myself like, oh, I'm gonna do this podcast every week. Oh, I'm gonna finish my book. Oh, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And it's like mental masturbation is like talking about things and then like not bringing them to fruition. It's like we get high off of it. I can say I get high off of it. And so that's one way that I can. I wouldn't say it's a way of not being present. It's like instead of talking about it, just coming into action about what really matters to us and tell it to people after it's done. It's like don't tell someone you're gonna bake a cake, bring the cake out and share a slice with them, right? So addiction has been a pretty huge topic that I've really been focusing on here recently, and I have an online program that's situated around this. I'm teaching a weekly class Thursday at 6 p.m. PST. And I have a mini course that's going to be starting this Friday, and it's just something that can support us on becoming more mindful and aware. It's not to blame or shame anything that we're doing or not doing. It's just to become more mindful and aware, to acknowledge it. And so instead of grabbing the beer or the coffee or the cigarette or the whatever as an escape, like make it a ceremony. It's just like, oh my gosh, I fucking earned this. Like I crushed it at work today. I did so great at this workout. I had a wonderful evening with my partner. Like whatever that is. It's just like, and now I'm gonna consciously indulge, not from a form of escape, but as a form of like a ceremonial offering to myself of like, oh, I deserve this. I feel so good to receive this and give it to myself. And like pausing, taking a breath, like blessing this beverage, this smoke, this whatever you're gonna put in your body, and like give gratitude, like, oh my gosh, like thank you to this marijuana, thank you to this beer, thank you to the whatever it is that you consume. Like some people don't think like, oh, coffee's a drug. Honey, I'm gonna tell you, Caffeine is one of the most societally recognized drugs on the planet. Caffeine is a mind-altering stimulant. It's a drug. If you have to have coffee every day, you may be an addict. And like if you feel triggered by that, that's okay. That's what we're here for, is to embrace the triggers and to accept them, to love them, to embrace them. And if you're not triggered, then okay, then it's not a problem for you. But if you ever feel triggered by somebody else in the external, all it's doing is helping us to see something that's ready to be seen. So my invitation is, how can we make life a ceremony and consciously indulge in what we desire to partake in without shame? That's like one of the most key components, is like, if you're clear that this is what's good for you and you're like, this is good for me, you know, and you don't have shame about it, you could just indulge and indulge and indulge. When it really becomes an issue though is when you know it's not good for you. Like me, for instance, like I knew for a long time, like alcohol was not my medicine. Like I did not know how to have one or two or three. Like I wanted 10 before the party. Like I had a really poor relationship with it, a very toxic relationship. And so for me to protect my own self, like I decided like I just don't need that. That doesn't serve me. And so it's like the thing is that these are all spiritual entities. Everything is spiritual. So when I say you are God and so is everything else, this is a term in shamanism which is based on animism, that there is a spiritual life force that animates everything and everyone. Everything has consciousness. This plant has a spiritual essence. Hello, nice. The rocks, this concrete that I'm on was made of the earth. The earth has a sentient consciousness, and there's specific parts of it, just like you're a an animal and you have organs and tissues and cells, right? A cell has consciousness. Everything has consciousness. So when we have a deep-seated relationship with a substance, say for instance, like alcohol, nicotine, caffeine, whatever it may be for you, um, excess scrolling on the Instagram, I'll leave that one out for now, but just like it's everything is an entity. It can be a bit easier to identify with like something like, okay, alcohol. I've personally released the spirit of alcohol from my field many times. And the times when I really felt this great sense of relief is when I had a ceremony around it. And I prayed and I connected with the spirit of alcohol. And I said, like, I no longer need you in my life. And at this point, I need you to step off. And like, and there's times where there can even be like darker, lower vibrational frequencies, like demonic forces. And like sometimes people get scared, like, oh my God, demons. It's like angels, demons, it's all frequency. The church and other people have decided to make it good or bad, or it's just different frequencies, like love and joy and bliss. Like these are all good. And it doesn't mean that like guilt and shame and anger are bad. It's just different frequencies. Like maybe we don't want to hang out down here, but we don't have to like, oh no, that's bad. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not really where we want to be. So these things that lower our frequency, such as alcohol, it's diminishing our vital life force, our divinity. It's lowering our frequency. It's not saying that's bad. It's just something to be aware of, to be cognizant of. There are some people that could debate and argue with that, but I'm just telling you that if you feel hungover the next day, you like, oh no, I felt so good. I was like the life of the party. Da, da, da. Like that was me. But then the next day you feel like shit. Like that's lowering your frequency. Like, yeah, maybe you felt good for a minute, but it doesn't mean that that was what was best for you. And yet, everything's always best for us exactly where it is. If we can just come to that, create a narrative that everything is exactly as it's meant to be in each moment, and we're all doing our best at our level of consciousness in each moment. I digress. So the point being is that making it a ceremony when you do indulge, and then if you come to a point when you're no longer in coherent resonance with that substance, you can literally do a prayer or ceremony, light a candle, have that substance there. You can write down on a piece of paper, like, I hereby release alcohol from my body, mind, and soul. I am one with spirit and whole. Thank you for the good times, for the celebrations. Thank you for helping me through stress and coping. And now I realize that I'm abusing you and we have a toxic relationship and this no longer serves and supports me. You know, thank you for stepping out of my field. all love. Aho. Put it in the fire, burn that shit. There's so many ways you could do this, but the point is if you connect to it like a person, like a being, it's actually can be a lot more helpful to step off. And some of them are going to be like a mosquito that doesn't want to go, and you have to kind of kill it. And I know it sounds a little intense, but it's like there are banishing rituals because some entities are using a substance, like a parasite, and you become the host. And so if that becomes the case and you feel that, like call a professional, like reach out to me, DM me, say, Shaman Peter, I need an exorcism. And I know how to do those. And if it's not me, like seek support. Like it's a pretty serious thing and it can really cause a lot of harm. So next topic. So I was speaking about the idea of how do we navigate coming on and off of substances and just the idea of cycles. And so having a cycle and a rhythm and a pattern with a substance, say for instance, like a stimulant, like caffeine, cacao, matcha, tea, whatever it is that has a mind altering effect that is increasing a stimulate on your nervous system, having that 7 days a week is not good for you. I'm not going to argue with anyone about this. It's just a fact. If you stimulate yourself every day, I'm guaranteeing you, based on modern scientific empirical research and evidence, it is not optimal to have strong stimulants every day of your life, period. There's 4 seasons in a year for a reason. It's not summer all year around. So if that triggers you, you may have a situation to look at. I'm not going to say it's a problem, but maybe it's a problem. So take a day off once a week. Take a motherfucking day off. Take Sundays off. That's my suggestion, especially if you work something like Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 situation. Every Sunday, stop drinking coffee. Just do it. Just do it. Don't try. Just fucking do it. And then like I would suggest going to like taking like 2 days a week off and then 3 days a week. And it's like then those 5 days a week that you're having the caffeine, oh my gosh, it's so much more effective. It's like, I was just talking with someone that I love that's really close to me. He's on Adderall and he's like, he's taking it, every morning. And he's like, yeah, it works till like noon. If he only took the Adderall 3 days a week or 5 days a week, I don't know what he's taking it actually every day, but the point is that he's not sleeping enough. So let's just, if you're not sleeping enough and you're just taking stimulants to get through your days, I've been there and I've done that. And your nervous system, your adrenals will blow out and you will reach a point of adrenal fatigue and total exhaustion where it could take you months to recover. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Like I promise you, like I've been there. I've done that. It's not cool. It's not cool feeling exhausted for months and there's like, oh, and then it's just like then your body could even like really be rejecting the caffeine. And then if the caffeine's really not working for you, like you're already in adrenal fatigue. So I'll tangent on adrenal fatigue for a moment because there are so many things that can really help. And the one that's helped me the most, phosphatidylserine. Phosphatidylserine. It's a PH word, phosphatidyl, TYD, title serine, SERINE. You type that into Google. I mean, I tried to say stop using Google. It's hard to get away from Google, man. I stopped that for a while. I stopped Amazon for a whole year. I was off of Facebook, Instagram, off of the Gmail. And then it's just like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, it can be challenging to not be a part of the system. But I will transform that limiting belief, and there'll be a day when we don't need those if we choose to. Reeling it back in. So, caffeine is one. Another that, like, one of the most common addictions is alcohol. If you're drinking alcohol every day, particularly if you're working like 5 days a week, like, just make a decision that you're gonna stop drinking alcohol Monday night through Thursday night. Just do it. Don't try it. Just fucking do it. Don't make excuses for yourself. Oh, somebody else is doing it. Oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like blah, 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 bullshit. Like, no, like you have to take care of yourself first. like numero uno, number one. And so if you're clear that drinking alcohol every day is not helpful for you, which it's not for anybody, save it and make it a celebration at least. Like enjoy it on the weekend. Have a good time. Like if you're gonna do it, like do it right. Do it. Not to say that the other way is wrong. And just all I'm about is optimization and to support you to where you're not holding yourself back. When we're leaning on something like a crutch, like if you use crutches for like 5 years, like you do not need crutches for 5 years, honey. Like you can go from a wheelchair for a week or a month to crutches for a week or a month, and then like, start walking, you're doing your PT, you start jogging, and then eventually you start running again. You do not use crutches for 5 years. I mean, I will say that I was like heavily altered from age 12 to 22. That's neither here nor there. However, the point being is you don't have to. And if you know now that this is something that, like, if you've listened this far, like, this is a real situation and this is time to make a radical transformation in your life. And so these are really two small shifts that you can make if you consume one or both of these substances. And I'll just go ahead and throw it in there. If it's not alcohol, but it's marijuana, the same thing. Marijuana has been so normalized as something that's like, oh, it's just natural. It's from the earth. It's good for us. It helps me to calm down. It helps me to mask my emotions because I feel anxious and depressed and stressed and I'm angry. And so it helps me to chill out. Escaping emotions. Escaping emotions. My antidepressant pills work really good. Escaping emotions. That's great. It's not helping you in the long run. It's putting the yoga mat on top of the spilled milk. When you take the yoga mat off, it's going to be really gross and stink. I promise. I promise. I'm going to promise you 100% of the time. When you take the yoga mat off, the spilled milk on the yoga mat, that shit's going to stink and it's going to be gross. So you might as well just give it a little break every once in a while and cycle it. So that's all, folks. I'm gonna go ahead and start to wrap it up there, and I'll just say that I love you, I honor you, I adore you, I worship you. If you're interested in learning more about how to transform addiction and access inner peace, I invite you to tune into my Thursday evening online workshop where we take a deep dive for about an hour, going through some yogic practice, meditation, philosophy, nerding, and then I will provide an opportunity to share how you can work with me deeper in a group or privately if that's something you're interested in. So if you like this, please subscribe, like it, comment, share. If there's someone that's struggling with addiction, like please send this to them. Um, if they're like someone that maybe the thing is that people have to want help. So if you know someone that's really struggling, it's like lovingly giving them resources that can be helpful. However, just be mindful to not try and force someone that's not ready to change to change. And that can include ourselves. And so I just invite you to be graceful and patient and loving with yourself through the process and to learn to love and embrace yourself on this beautiful journey we call life. I'm Shaman Peter. This is You Are God, and so is everything else. Thank you for tuning in, and I pray you have a beautiful, blessed remainder of your day. Ciao for now. Aho, gratitude, reverence. Ashe, I send positive frequencies to you. Namaste. The divine and infinite within me bows and acknowledges the divine and infinite within you. I skipped an amen. An amen is a form of affirmation. It means like, I agree. Amen, brother. I agree. So I am stepping deeper into offering the All Faiths Fellowship. And it's a space and a place where all people's places, things, and ideas are welcomed to be accepted, acknowledged, and embraced with the loving awareness and the parts of us that we've shamed, that we've ridiculed, that we pushed aside, that we felt guilty about. They all have a space too. And so I'm just sending love to